Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the All We Do Is Talk podcast. We're here with a Week 15 review. Here with Moody and Isaiah. How we doing today, guys?
What's good, y'all?
Just
Getting ready for the holidays.
enjoying some December football.
And some days off.
I know y'all. I know y'all all enjoying this fascinating, exciting.
We got some good games. We had some good games this last week.
December football, not good football.
Yeah, definitely some good games and some teams tanking, and I love it. But so let's start Thursday night. Kansas City goes to the Chargers and wins 34-28 in overtime.
Admittedly, I was too busy watching Spider-Man to have caught this live, as my partner Isaiah here as well. But we did catch the replay, and this was very, very exciting football. This was a classic game, ugly football until the last 5 minutes, and then both teams turned it on to the finish line. This seemed like a clear under until we got late in the fourth quarter, and Mahomes decided that he needs to start making a bunch of plays. Justin Herbert tried to answer as much as he could, but he got cursed by the overtime coin flip. That's usually how it works. This was good on the Chargers for keeping it as close as they were. They probably should have won the game. They dropped at least 3 touchdowns. Myriad of other just little mistakes that a young team made to not be able to close out a veteran football team. Kansas City continues to know how to survive competitive games against good teams. They are going to win the division. They're probably going to get a bye week in the number 1 seed in the AFC.
I mean, yeah, you said it best. I mean, game that started slow and then great fourth quarter, well worth the wait. Lots of explosive scoring. 2 of the best quarterback prospects out there that we've seen in this generation. Great. Enjoy it while it's here. People used to say that about Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, and now it's gone.
We saw plenty.
It's been years since we've seen it, though. It feels weird. But, yeah, I think basically the biggest thing from this game is the fourth down attempts for the Chargers. They're really aggressive with it. A couple might have cost them. They say you can't beat the Chiefs without kicking field goals.
I mean, Pat Mahomes threw a ball in the dirt on 4th and 1 himself. It was just there was a lack of execution going on.
But I mean, I think the Chargers became the first team ever to, in the one half, we have 4 attempts in the red zone and walk away with no points. I think they're the first team ever. They're really aggressive. They're going to ride or die with that, but that'll probably cost them later on, but we'll see.
Or it'll get them a win they don't deserve. That's how fourth downs work.
But Brandon Staley and Justin Herbert, they're just a little short. If they won this game, sweep the Chiefs, that could have been some great momentum heading into the playoffs, but now they're going to be falling back into that pack of lots of the AFC teams that are going to be probably tying and getting left out via tiebreaker. And as for the Chiefs, they saved their season. I didn't think they were going to turn around like this. I still thought they were good enough to fall into the playoffs, but they've turned it around, and now they look like a complete team. Still sloppy on offense every now and then, but, as long as they got Mahomes, Kelsey, Hill, what that you're going to get there with Andy Reid scheming it up. And as for the Chargers, I mean, they're going to have to win out probably.
Yeah. In the AFC, you definitely can't lose. You can't lose a couple. You can't be in a position like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to see Travis Kelce have a great game, but then the COVID news hit, and that's brutal, I think, for their offense.
That COVID news for the Chargers, too.
I'm so glad I got to use Travis Kelce on my fantasy bye week.
Yep. That's huge. But yeah, I mean, they had their 2 guys be absolutely explosive in the fourth quarter and overtime. And I knew right from overtime, once the Chiefs won the coin toss in overtime, I was like, this is over. So, yeah, it was a great win for the Chiefs. Absolutely. But Chargers, I think, will still be a viable threat. It all depends on matchup in the playoffs, who you got first round. So we'll see how their journey through the playoffs can be. All right, let's go to the Saturday night primetime game.
But yeah, so we had
Colts won 27-17.
Yeah,
I think.
New England.
Yeah, I was explaining Isaiah this Saturday night. That was the ugliest, most undisciplined football game I may have ever seen from a Bill Belichick football team. It was shocking. To be honest with you, they lost on special teams. They lost in the trenches. They committed way too many penalties, pre-snap penalties. It was surprising, the turnovers from Mac Jones. He made a couple of weird, bad decisions.
Crippling.
He was seeing windows late, and in the NFL, if you're seeing it late, it's going the other way. That's just the way it works, and he found that out the hard way in this one. I really didn't think they got massively outplayed. Obviously, I think Jonathan Taylor put him away in the end, but for the most part, they did a decent job containing him. But they just couldn't get out of their own way with their own mistakes, and it cost them.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't surprised that the Colts dominated them in the line of scrimmage. I thought they would. I think the Colts probably have the best offensive line other than the 49ers in the league.
New Orleans got a pretty good one too, but they're right up there.
Yeah, what's behind the New Orleans one really makes it even worse, and it's been hurt. But yeah, I get what you're saying. But like Moody said, this was one of the most sloppy New England games you've probably ever seen in your life.
You can't imagine it.
I've seen some sloppy playoff ones, but regular season they're usually buttoned up, especially this late. But it showed the limitations of a Mac Jones, and he's been playing good. He's probably going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I mean that's probably because he's playing for New England. And I'm pretty sure if you put Trevor Lawrence in New England, they'd probably be way better. If you put Justin Fields in New England, they'd probably be a lot better. If you put Trey Lance or any of the other guys, Zach Wilson,
no doubt,
they'd probably be the Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Mac Jones would be looking like the other bad rookie quarterback. So I mean, it sucks for Mac to he's had a bad game, but it's going to be interesting to see how New England comes back from this, because if they tailspin off and let Buffalo recover, or if they bounce back next week against Buffalo.
Well, yeah, that's huge. Buffalo's playing for their season against New England on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the turnovers were costly for Mac Jones. Jonathan Taylor just shows his explosiveness. I mean, that game-winning one was he jumped to the side and blasted off. So good for the Colts. I mean, they're becoming one of the more dangerous lower seeds that you don't want to face in the playoffs. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a huge one for the Colts seeding wise. All right, so let's move on to Carolina and Buffalo, where Buffalo won 31-14.
This game went about as expected. Buffalo just went and took care of business. Carolina kept it kind of close throughout the game. DJ Moore showed up and played, surprisingly.
Robbie Anderson
made some plays. Since Cam Newton's come back, they finally figured out how to use their receivers a little bit. But the offense just has too many limitations with Cam Newton's arm and the lack of Christian McCaffrey in a dynamic run game. Their offensive line is really bad. A strong, talented offense with a physical presence could run over Buffalo, not Carolina's. And that was the issue here offensively. And then defensively, Stephon Diggs, was cooking.
And Gabe Davis.
Yeah, their receivers. Josh Allen just picked that secondary apart because, Carolina wants to play aggressive, blitzing, cover one type of coverage. And against a Buffalo team that struggles with the too high look, if you give them the look they want to see, they're going to light you up. It's just a guarantee at this point.
Yeah, I don't think another game where Buffalo dominated on the scoreboard, but really didn't dominate on the field like the score says. They were clearly better because they had better quarterback play, better offensive line play, and a top defense in the league. And Cam Newton is probably, he's done. Probably done. He's going to keep holding on to it. I'm not going to blame him for holding on to it, but he hasn't been effective in so long that it's hard to remember when he used to be effective. And Buffalo, it just sucks that they're running the ball better, but their run offense is skeptical, really relying on Josh Allen. And that run defense, if we have to play some of these tough run teams in the playoffs, it's going to be tough to beat a bunch of them. So they're probably not going to beat a bunch of them. They hope the bracket breaks right for them. I don't think it's must win for them against New England because they're playing the Jets in Carolina before the season's going. So I think they'll go 2-3 and they'll get in. I'm pretty sure they're fine. But winning the AFCs would be a better option, and maybe getting a chance to be the 1 seed, and then going to wild card and playing that extra game because there's a lot of good run teams in the AFC.
Yeah, this game went just about as expected. Buffalo needed this game more than Carolina did. But, losing that, we jumped to Seattle for the 7th overall pick, which is huge, which is massive. Next up, let's split these Giants picks. Who knows? They play each other the second to last week, so one of them's going to win a game. So
what is
but yeah, without McCaffrey, and Cam Newton clearly isn't what he once was, can't throw the ball. I was even seeing notifications today that Sam Darnold might play. Yippee. That's
they got J.C. Horn though.
Yeah.
They got J.C. Horn.
Yeah. But that game is just as boring as it could be, just as expected. All right, so let's move on to let's go to Miami, where the Jets, I thought they were going to cover. I really did. but they fall 31-24 to Miami.
They just didn't cover?
No, they didn't.
That's
I was never worried. even when they were up 17-10
Yeah.
at half, maybe.
Yeah,
or
they-
third quarter, not even into the third quarter. I told Moody
even with Tua through the pick six.
I was not worried. I wasn't worried. The Dolphins have just rattled off the most meaningless 6-game win streak of all time. They're probably still not going to make the playoffs because their schedule is still kind of tough down the stretch. I think they don't have to play Buffalo again.
You know,
though.
they
So
got
Buffalo won't be putting them
they
away.
got to see New England again. I think they might get the Jets one more time too, though.
Yeah, but they're behind, and they just missed. They blew a couple opportunities early, and it's another season just not enough. If they could have traded for Deshaun Watson and maybe got him on the field, who knows? Maybe they could have rewrote the season. But good bounce back from Tua. He hasn't been playing super crazy elite, being too impressive.
But like Jimmy Garoppolo, when he plays, they win.
So so you can win with him. It's proven that you could win with him. But I'm more impressed with how good their defense is turning around. Jalen Phillips looks amazing. The Holland kid has looked good. Good draft for them, it looks like, for this year after some previous drafts that haven't looked too mighty strong coming, after you've seen some of the players, the cornerback that they took a couple years ago to I think a couple offensive tackles that haven't turned out good. But this year, Jalen Phillips looks like he's up there with the Aziz. He's in that tier 2 with Aziz, right behind Micah Parsons, who's leading the way clearly in that tier 1. I mean, in Surtain. So they got a top 5 defensive player in the draft. So good for Miami, and hopefully they have another good offseason. And luckily this saves the jobs of some coaches I like. I like the guys that they have running Miami, and they get to stay. So that's good for them.
Yeah, I'll focus on the Jets. This is probably one of their better efforts of the season, especially defensively. Even though they still managed to give up 31 points, I thought they competed really well. Thought they tackled really well. Thought they got pressure on Tua, but they're not very talented, so it's hard for them to go out there and make a bunch of plays.
And they're banged up.
Offensively, it continues to be a struggle for Zach Wilson. I think he threw the ball 25 times, 25 passes, got sacked 6 times. The guys aren't getting open. Their offensive line isn't good. It's hard to make it look good out there. They really don't have a lot out there for Zach Wilson to ride on. I'm surprised he's even out there playing, but these are good reps for them to get down the season. For Miami, Miami was never as bad as the 1-7 record they had indicated. Tua just wasn't out there playing for them, and along with a whole bunch of other offensive
injuries in the secondary to foreign corners.
So now they're healthy. They were a 10-win team last year. They've won 7 games this year. They could win 10 this year. They'll probably settle in the 8, 9, 10 win range, which is about what you expected from a roster of this amount of talent. They just seem like they need another draft to rebuild that offensive line.
Probably get some more receivers that actually stay healthy.
Yeah,
Will Fuller.
and Devontae Parker.
Somebody find Will Fuller. Nobody knows where he is.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the only reason I thought the Jets were going to cover is because everything that could have gone right for the Jets did go right. After the pick 6, you got a non-offensive touchdown. I thought that covering 10.5. I thought they were going to cover that.
Wait, actually, no, they covered. They just covered.
It was 10.5, right? They were 10 points.
I thought it was 7. I thought it was 7.
Yeah, the Jets did cover. They got that done.
That must have blown up.
But yeah,
the
Jets are brutal. I mean, the most meaningless. Their draft pick. The Eagles are sick. The Eagles are so sick of that draft pick. But yeah, I mean, I don't think the Dolphins are going to get in. There's no shot. So, yeah.
They don't end up on Old Takes Exposed now. But
Tua just proved he deserves an off season and a draft to go be a starter.
Or he's tradable.
He's shown growth.
I ain't say on Miami. I ain't specify what team.
All right, so let's move on to New York, where Dallas came to town. Cowboys won 21-6.
This was as boring of a football game as you could possibly watch on a Sunday.
I say that every week about the Giants game.
Yeah, that's how y'all play. Y'all are boring as hell to watch. Mike Glennon, no one wants to watch Mike Glennon.
No more Mike Glennon, bro. No more Mike Glennon. Please.
It was bad. I know probably most of the national audience got to see this one because it's the NFC's football. I'm sorry that they did that to y'all. It wasn't fun for us fans to watch it either. For the Cowboys, they just handled business. Offensively, it was an obvious conservative game plan up in December in New York, 16-mile-per-hour winds. The defense got a couple of turnovers early, and they just laid it down the rest of the day. They didn't really try to be aggressive other than one play at the end of the game where Dak got the fumble that he just can't happen, unacceptable play, but they weren't in danger of losing the game anyway. Defensively, the Cowboys just continue to manhandle bad quarterbacks. Taysom Hill, Taylor Heinicke, now Mike Glennon. The Cowboys have gone out there against offenses that don't have any talent, and they've just shut them down. They can't get into the end zone.
That's what the Washington football team did last year, but you discredited it. So
yeah, and y'all tried to make our Washington football team as like this amazing football team, didn't y'all? I told y'all that was.
Well, I'm just saying you discredited it, so just remember that.
But overall, for the Cowboys defense, they took care of business. They didn't let a bad offensive opponent make plays on them, and they got the job done in a very boring, unimpressive fashion.
Yeah, I don't have much to say other than Mike Glennon does not belong in the league anymore. I don't know how he's made the money he's made, but this guy's banked over $30 million and has not won a game since 2017. And another lost Giant season. Everybody got free medium sodas.
Not everybody, no. Only the one man, only the name on the ticket got a free medium soda. That's it. They was even being stingy with the medium soda.
Couldn't even get a souvenir cup, bro. Couldn't even get a souvenir cup.
I mean, not even a large. Forget the souvenir. They're gonna get a large and medium. But that was filled with ice too. None but ice.
Yeah, but this game was just boring NFC East football. I mean, nothing to write home about on this one. So let's move on to a depressing pick. The Tennessee Titans going to Pittsburgh and blowing it 19-13.
Imagine being out here doubting Pittsburgh's ability to get out of a football game.
I only doubt it because you can't predict the things they're going to do.
Tennessee doesn't have anything on offense. That's the one thing Pittsburgh can do.
Go back and look at the stats. Tennessee had 400 yards of offense.
They ran for over 200 yards, but every time they had the opportunity, they put the ball on the ground. Every time. Dante Hillary put the ball on the ground. Ryan Tannehill put the ball on the ground a couple times.
The first fumble was from Pittsburgh.
Whoever had the ball in their hands, when it was time, they fumbled a snap. Whenever Pittsburgh needed to make a play, they made a play. Whenever they needed a flag, the referees threw it. That's what this game was. Pittsburgh didn't do anything good on either side of the ball, really, in this football game.
T.J. Watt and Minkah Fitzpatrick, they're doing their thing.
They have a couple of playmakers that make some plays, and that's all. And that's what they did. They can't run the ball with Najee Harris. Ben Roethlisberger throws the ball immediately and inaccurately to his receivers because he can't get protected, and he can't throw the ball anymore. Pittsburgh just continues to hang on by the hair on their chinny chin. Mike Tomlin continues to prove that he's one of the elite coaches in this league because he's going to drag them above 500 again this year. That's what's going to happen again, despite how abysmal.
I just don't know what he's doing to drag them.
It's getting done. People tell me my Roethlisberger is trash. The offensive line is trash. The run game is not existent. They can't get the ball to the receivers. The secondary is trash. Their run defense has been abysmal. And yet they're 7-6-1, so they're above all the 7-7 teams in the AFC. And if Buffalo don't look out, they're gonna be watching Pittsburgh beat them on a tiebreaker to get in the last spot.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the approach that Eric went with Miami. I do not believe Pittsburgh are winning games. They're gonna take them to the playoffs. Now it's harder to say that for Pittsburgh because this game they didn't deserve to win this game. They just got dominated all game. Tennessee just shitted on themselves because they're playing with backup players everywhere. So hopefully for Tennessee, they're getting A.J. Brown. They activated him. They're getting Julio back. They might be getting Derrick Henry back. Maybe we get to see good Tennessee in the playoffs. But if these guys are going to stay healthy and if Derrick Henry's going to come back and be ineffective, I really don't want to see Tennessee in the playoffs just trying out Ryan Tannehill.
I mean, their spot's basically locked up.
It's not. They're not even locked into the AFC South.
Yeah, I mean, like they can lose out, but like, come on, it would be really hard.
But as for Tennessee, I mean, they got to get healthy. Because they got a good team.
They do.
And that'd be a strong team and fun team to watch. Julio, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, play action pass. And they just been banged up and hurt. This probably was their year, but they might have waited too long to push all their trips to the middle. And that's why you got to go in when you got to go in. They might have waited too long to go get a player like Julio Jones. And as for Pittsburgh, they're Pittsburgh. I don't know you can't predict how they're going to win, but they just do it. So with lots of help from the referees as well. So I mean, it is what it is. It's Pittsburgh.
I think the Steelers, I never thought they were as helpless as the Dolphins because the division, that division's so open that you can never write them off of that. So, this game was just bad. The two fumbles by Ryan Tannehill, you just can't have that. Chase Claypool got put in detention. He got put in timeout. He only got one catch for 7 yards.
Pittsburgh Steelers football.
Yes.
Classic.
Classic.
All right, so let's go to another toilet bowl. Houston going to Jacksonville. Houston won this game 30-16.
Yeah, I don't know what Vegas was trying to do to people by giving Jacksonville a near touchdown spread. But if you picked that, you was just burning your money away. I don't know what you were thinking. Just because Urban Meyer was gone doesn't mean they just stop being bad. Like people hate, they must have really, really despised Urban Meyer for that crazy thing that happened. Yeah, the Jacksonville's awful. They're the worst team in the league. They picked number 1 last year. They're gonna pick number 1 overall again this year. That's what they look like on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence has regressed. He looked decent in the beginning in the first 8 games of the year. Like his talent was showing out. His talent not a talent is not a talent's even having a hard time showing out. The interceptions are constant at this point. Obviously not getting any protection. His number 1 receiver is Marvin Jones Jr. And in 2021, that's not a good enough number 1 receiver.
Oh, Jared Goff doing it with Amon St. Brown.
To have 1 less win than Trevor Lawrence do. It's hard out here for these rosters.
3 less losses.
It's hard out here for these rosters with little to no talent. Defensively, they're not any good. They're actually worse, arguably. They're younger and they're just less talented overall. Miles Jack is and Josh Allen when he's playing Josh Allen is there really only real talents out there. So it's not surprising that they went out here a guy handled by any team, especially Houston, who had already shown that they're just way better than they are. As for Houston, they're doing a better job than Jacksonville at making it work. I guess that's the best thing you can say about them. Brandon Cooks continues to be a dynamic receiver to talented type of player, and he gets the job done, and he can make plays on bad defenses. And he basically single-handedly won the game for them. He made all the explosive down the field passing plays. Obviously, Houston's Tampa 2 defense did a good enough job of shutting down a helpless Jacksonville team, but good win for Houston, I guess, even though they really didn't need it. But they just showed that they're better than Jacksonville. That's Houston's calling card for the 2021 season.
I mean, as for Jacksonville, I'll start with Jacksonville because they're a dumpster fire. They probably, in my opinion, just like Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence is probably in the process of getting ruined right now. But going forward, they have Trevor Lawrence, they have Travis Etienne, maybe DJ Chark, Miles Jack, Josh Allen, and everybody else is not. That's it. That's the only guys they really need that they had that you could say like we're going to move forward with these guys. Mm-hmm. They probably need the number 1 pick to trade back and get some more assets because that team is just so bad,
so far away.
And they'll have cap space. They could be fine. You know, they had Mike Tannenbaum on ESPN begging to get a job there so that he could turn them into a playoff team next season. Good luck. Maybe they could. They have lots of cap space. If Trevor Lawrence has Jared Goff went to the playoffs his second season.
If they hire Sean McVay.
Yeah, so like the second year jumps after having trash first years happen all the time. So growing pains, but this is a situation that we've never seen. So I mean, good luck with them for that. And as for Houston, I'm gonna give credit to Davis Mills. He's having the best rookie quarterback season of anybody not playing for a good team. So good on for him because people said that he was probably the most pro. Huh?
I was literally about to say that. Where are we ranking Davis Mills for rookie of the year, quarterback rookie of the year?
He's definitely only behind Mac Jones, luckily. And that's for him. Like that was his thing coming out though, is that he was pro ready. He probably just doesn't have the potential. Like the Davis Mills you're getting now is probably the Davis Mills you're gonna have in 5 years and you're gonna have in 10 years. He's gonna be the same backup quarterback, level quarterback. Maybe he gets better and improves. You never know. But he's showing you what he's probably gonna be. He's probably gonna have a long career at worst as a platooning backup quarterback. And Houston, they don't have much on their team either. So, I mean, we'll see what they do.
And no picks in cap space.
I mean, he has a Brandon.
They have picks this year.
He's got a Brandon Cooks. He's got a Brandon Cooks, so he has a weapon. But
Trevor Lawrence would kill a family member for Brandon Cooks. That's what he would do. Like he like that. Just come on, man. No, that's over 61,000 yard season in 7 years. Yeah. Brandon Cooks is a good player. No one else from Jacksonville is.
Okay.
Well, yeah, let's keep it moving. The bandwagon. Let's cover gods. Beat the Arizona Cardinals 30-12.
You can officially hit the panic button on the Arizona Cardinals. They are in big trouble. Obviously, they're talking about, hey, maybe they can get DeAndre Hopkins back in the NFC Championship game.
I was like, what? That means the season's over. Y'all weren't going there.
You can't be losing to the Detroit Lions talking about trying to get somebody back for the NFC Championship. They got some things to figure out. I think offensively, They're adjusting without Nuke Hopkins. That's basically what they built their offense around. So they got to get guys back in their places. They got to get Kyler Murray a little healthier, a little more confident. I'm not as worried about that side of the ball for them, but defensively they have real flaws. Without J.J. Watt, they've lost a physical defensive line presence to help take pressure off of Chandler Jones. So his production has fallen way down, especially in the sacks department. People have been able to put more attention on him, let guys like Marcus Golden go one-on-one, and he's not going to kill you. And in the secondary, obviously the Cardinals play a very small style, lots of DBs. They want to be fast. They want to be able to play with a lot of speed. But if guys are just getting ran right over, which is what's been happening the last couple of weeks, Detroit, it happened against LAR, that's going to be a big problem for them. Their DBs aren't exactly overly talented either, where you can just have them on the field like the Bills DBs are. These guys are stacking guys up also in the passing game as well. They've gotten exposed a little bit. Monroe St. Brown and Josh Reynolds killed them. It's just it was a pretty unacceptable performance from a team that's expected to go to the playoffs. For Detroit, the cover guys just keep on fighting. Dan Campbell he could be a coach of the year with what he's done for this Detroit team this year, with the way they've been competitive every week, obviously covering the spread. Now they've won a couple games in a row. Like, who do you think Jared Goff would have won 2 games in a row this year? Who could have?
I bet the over for the Lions this year, so I hope they win some more games.
So like fantastic win for the Lions as they continue to show their fight. They're going to be a good. They could be a good team in the future if they're able to put together a decent roster for Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna start at that point. I think we'll start with the Lions since they won. The Lions aren't the Texans, they aren't the Jaguars. They have a solid top 10 for sure, easily offensive line. 2 tackles, good interior, and this is without their all-pro caliber center. Was he all-pro last year, Ragnar?
Ragnar? I don't know if he was all-pro.
He was definitely a Pro Bowl. He was definitely Pro Bowl, almost all-pro. I think he's pretty good, top 3 center in the league. And this is without him. They have a great offensive line. So you win football games in the trenches. So they're gonna, most of the time, like you saw, if you're weak up front, the Lions can get you. And that's why they've covered so many games, because they're gonna be in the games because they can just run the ball and they can protect. Mm-hmm. They may not have explosive passing game after all that protection and run, but that's just a start. That's half the teams can't protect. So that's just half the start. And Jared Goff, I mean, he's a top 25 quarterback. So he's not even he ain't
a scrub.
He's not Trevor Lawrence where he's been playing. He's not a rookie. He's not a rookie. So I'm not surprised that they're the best of they're clearly the best of the bad teams. They're not even the Jets. Mm-hmm. Have they underperformed? I think they could have won more games if they had.
I think they've been as close. Like they also a 65-yard field goal. The Dan Campbell timeout fiasco against Minnesota. Yeah, they could have more wins, but they're a bad team, and bad teams lose games.
Yeah. But we'll see what they do. I think they have they have cap space coming up. I think they have the best foundation to build upon of all these bad teams, other than like the Jets and Giants, because they're gonna have a bunch of first-round picks in the top 10 this year, and Eagles. Other than that, as for Arizona, I wonder if Cliff Kingsbury is really upset that he gave up that Oklahoma job, because when that job was available, they were sitting at 1 loss, and it looked like, hey, we're about to do some things here. If they tailspin off and he dropped, I think he's getting out coached constantly, week in and week out. I thought maybe he was a college coach, so maybe he's going to be upset that he passed up on that Oklahoma job. And Kyler Murray, he still looks nicked up a little. DeAndre Hopkins is out. J.J. Watt's out. We'll see how health impacts them. I don't think they have I always thought they were going to go 1-and-done no matter what. So good season though. His first winning season, even though he's coached Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, and Kyler Murray.
Double-digit wins.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Goff was efficient and no turnover. So if you do that, you're in a great position to win. Also, the Detroit rushing with the loss of Swift, I mean, is impressive as well. Craig Reynolds ran for 112 yards. I mean,
who do you say?
Running backs don't matter. That's what he said.
Who was that? You said I don't know who that was, but there you go, 100 yards.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that gets it done. Chewing the clock, and Jared Goff had 3 touchdowns. So good on the Lions. Congratulations. A nice little round of applause. Out of the 1 spot, out of the number 1 overall pick. All right, so let's go to San Francisco, where the Atlanta Falcons came to town, and 49ers won 31-13.
Yeah, they just manhandled Atlanta with physicality, especially up front. Atlanta couldn't hold a candle to San Francisco on either side of the ball, and that's why San Fran looks like a playoff team right now. As Isaiah was just talking about how the Detroit Lions have got a certain baseline of ability because of their offensive line. San Fran has that with actual football talent around them as well, and that's what they showed here. They ran all over Atlanta's small, quick cover 3 type of front. Deion. What's his name? Deion Jones. Those guys had a hard time dealing with the front. They ran the ball well with Jeff Wilson Jr., obviously Deebo Samuel as well. And then the passing game with George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. Jimmy Garoppolo has had a really, really nice 6-week stretch of like consistent football. They're finally healthy. They finally found their rhythm in the Shanahan scheme. And the Niners just took care of an inferior opponent offensively and defensively. They were a terror for Matt Ryan. The Falcons offense just couldn't get off the ground because they couldn't protect. They couldn't get anything going in the run game. It's Atlanta's overperformed expectations. I think this year they probably won more than I expected them to, but this was just a mismatch here.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. Tell me the difference between the Colts and the 49ers. They're the same team. They're going to be the tough out because they are great in the offensive line, which means you're going to probably be at best, even if you have a great D-line, you're going to be hoping for stalemates a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping to see a Cowboys versus 49ers matchup in the playoffs. It's the rivalry that we were told about. That's supposed to be this transcendent rivalry, and they haven't had a playoff game since 1994.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be really interested to see how that went. 2 great fan bases. I'd like to see how that trash talk will be going between those fan bases. But Jimmy Garoppolo, efficient, like he said about Tua when he plays. The 49ers win. That's what Jimmy Garoppolo does to them. Brandon Ayuk was a little quiet in this game, and their passing was good.
Not explosive play.
Yeah. Not like I thought they could have got more explosive plays, but I don't think they were really hunting it. I don't think they were really.
December football.
They were cool laying it down and just manhandling the 49ers. Good comeback season for Trent Williams, who really, if we're being fair, he could be in the category for Offensive Player of the Year. He's having that type of great season, but we know he's a tackle, so no one's going to say that. But he's returned whenever Trent Williams has played, and he stayed healthy all year, surprisingly.
He's been fantastic.
Whenever Trent Williams has been on the football field, he's been nothing short of a top 3 left tackle of this generation. Probably the best one, in my opinion, of this generation. We'll see how they finish out their careers on this back end. But no one's going to be wanting to see the 49ers in the playoffs. We know they went to the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I don't think their defense is just as good. And I like to shine some light. Nick Bosa, a guy who could be up there for the comeback player of the year. He's having a great season. Their defense is not as good as their Super Bowl team, but I think this offense is way better. It's got way more weapons,
It's versatile. It's more diverse.
It's more versatile than it was. Like, instead of just going to Juszczyk and Kittle, they have receivers who are just as good and dynamic as the tight ends, fullback players on their team. And I think it's a scary offense because Shanahan can scheme it up. They'll probably choke in the playoffs because we know what Kyle Shanahan does in the playoffs.
Unfortunately for them, their improvement on their offense is coming in the passing game. They're not the same dominant physical run team. So in the playoffs,
and also not so dominant.
But if the playoffs, you're gonna have to ask Jimmy Garoppolo to make some throws and think that's how they'll choke. You're gonna ask Jimmy Garoppolo to go win the game.
But yeah, that's about it for that.
Yeah, Isaiah, I don't know about I think the 49ers are leaps and bounds better than the Colts.
Really?
Yes.
The Colts beat them pretty good earlier this year, right?
Yeah, they played each other this year. With Jimmy Garoppolo,
they weren't healthy. Like, Kittle wasn't there. I think Kittle brings a whole different energy to the offense, I think.
I will agree. I've always said the Colts need another piece on offense, like a weapon. So I could see what you're saying there. I think the Colts defense is actually like a top 10 elite defense
because they have the Niners best defensive player.
I think they're pretty. I think these are the same teams. Like, they have the chance to beat this year's Tennessee Titans from a few years ago, where our run game is dominant, our quarterback's efficient enough, and our defense.
What you mean the Tennessee Titans? That was the Niners. They went to the Super Bowl. that was their formula. They just took it all the way.
I think they had an easier schedule. The Titans beat good teams.
Yeah, I mean, beating the Green Bay Packers is pretty good.
They always do that, but I'm looking at Minnesota.
Yeah, beating Tom Brady in the playoffs gives you credibility, no doubt about it.
All right, so let's move on. My team is finally not cursed. My want to playoff team to be Cincinnati at Denver. Cincinnati edges out for the cover and the win 15-10.
This is the ugliest football game of the many ugly football games.
This might be the one because there was expectations here.
Yeah,
like, you see something.
Nothing really happened here back and forth. the Denver Broncos, I thought, ran the ball well with Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams, but after Teddy Bridgewater got knocked the fuck out for the second time that we've seen in his career, it was tough sledding from there. Drew Lock ain't that guy.
He had one bad turnover. But who runs a read option when your run game is that dominant?
Not amazing coaching from Vic Fangio.
Pat Shurmur.
And Pat Shurmur, but obviously Denver, they have a quarterback problem. So whenever they're going up against a team that can force their quarterback to be the reason they win, they're not going to win games. And they can't score enough points. That's what happened here. Their defense showed up. Denver's defense continues to be one of the 5 best defenses in the NFL. They're a bad matchup for the Bengals because they have a fantastic secondary that could give corners a lot of problems. I think Jamar Chase had 1 catch in this game. That's really, really rough for the Bengals offense. But Joe Burrow, being better than whoever Denver was playing at quarterback, made one more play. He found Tyler Boyd down the field, made Justin Simmons miss, and that was the difference in the football game.
Yeah, I'll throw a shout out. I still think Drew Lock threw the best throw of the game on his touchdown pass to Tim Patrick, but he clearly didn't understand the assignment that they couldn't turn the ball over in this game because that one turnover was the difference in this type of game. So that's why I thought they should have played him more because I think he has more passing ability. I think he needs to be developed, and I think Pat Shurmur's a good quarterback developer.
They've thrown Drew Lock away. I tend to agree with you about they should have probably given Drew Lock the chance, but they were like, no, this guy sucks. We don't want him anymore.
Play with Teddy Bridgewater and have this up and down season. We know they need a quarterback anyway. I agree with Eric that I would love to see it. I didn't pick the Bengals to go to the playoffs, but I was high on them. I thought they could have a good season, and I'd like to see them in the playoffs because I think they're the most exciting team and they're the healthiest team in that division. I'm gonna still hold out because I picked Cleveland and I bet Cleveland, so I gotta. And they're not out of it yet, but Cincinnati's got the most exciting team in that division by far, and I'd like to see I'd like to see more Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase getting some playoff experience, and trying to take over that NFC North so we could stop seeing Pittsburgh Steelers football in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the main thing for me. I want to see Pittsburgh not win or be in the playoffs anymore. So I hope the Bengals keep doing it. I mean, I'm rooting for them. I hope Joe Burrow's playing tough he's doing what Russell Wilson wanted to do with a finger injury. But
he's playing pretty well with it.
Yeah, but Patrick Surtain keeps showing that he's an elite talent at the corner position, and T's and P's to Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, 3. That's crazy. 3 defensive players taken first in the draft, and 2 of them look all pro caliber, and one of them he didn't play much this year.
So let's move on to Baltimore, where they tried to go for 2 again and couldn't hit it again. Green Bay edges them out 31-30.
I mean, you gotta respect the decision. Obviously,
I don't hate the call. I don't hate the play. Decision. I hate the play call. All hate the play.
The play's open. Unfortunately, the play's open. The problem is everyone knew he was throwing the ball to one man, including the defense. But this was a hell of an effort from the Baltimore Ravens, honestly, on both sides of the ball. I said effort. That's not necessarily execution, but effort. They hung in there. They found a couple of stops. They hung in there tough. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers was just back there having the time of his life, picking them apart because there's just no talent on that defense anymore. It's all hurt. But the fact that they managed to just stay in it for 4 quarters, I think is a testament to how well their defense and special teams played as a whole. They were well coached. Offensively, give Tyler Huntley a lot of credit. He made the plays. He extended plays in the pocket. He scrambled. He used his legs, and he found a way to just get Mark Andrews the football over and over and over again. Made a couple plays for some other guys and gave his team a chance to win the game in the end. That's the best that you can ask for from your backup quarterback. Baltimore's probably going to be disappointed because the AFC is just so tight. And in losing a game like this, they're still going to be upset despite all the injuries and stuff they're going through. But this was a hell of an effort from a team that's just had the worst luck in the NFL, arguably, this year when it comes to injuries. And you hope that Lamar Jackson, he's still on a gimpy ankle. He's 50-50. But
practice today.
Exactly. You hope that they'll be able to make something happen. But this was a fantastic effort from them. For Green Bay, way to survive. They're in a week where 2 of the top 4, 2 of the division leaders in the NFC lost. they needed to win, and they got it done by hook or by crook. They survived it. Marquise Brown was open, but I think Aaron Rodgers probably just goes down the field and wins the game anyway. But a spectacular performance from who I think is now the MVP front runner, and Aaron Rodgers. He was amazing. Devontae Adams was unstoppable despite Baltimore putting 2 on him all day long. Their running game continues to be really, really good. And somehow, despite all the offensive line injuries, the Green Bay offensive line continues to perform like a well-oiled machine. It's really, really impressive. A surprisingly bad game from their defense. I think they didn't respect the Baltimore offense enough, and they probably just gave up too much just off of being casual, trying to make too many plays instead of just playing solid defense. Overall, the Packers did a good job of surviving a game opponent who gave them a good fight, and now they're the front runner. I think they're like 70% to win the 1 seed, and if the playoffs have to run through Lambeau, they have as good a chance as anybody in the league to be playing in the Super Bowl.
Okay, yeah, that is truthful. My takeaway. So I'll just point out every year we see it. The backup quarterback position is so valuable that you can't be trying out guys like Mike Glennon to do it. Like we saw Case Keenum, we know Case Keenum's out there, so that's one route. You'll get a reliable veteran and spend some money on it, or do what Baltimore did and just develop a guy that they've had on their practice squad for a few years. Let him come back and know your system, game him up, you keep him around, you build him, and you see what happens when you develop a backup quarterback. That's a part of the game too. It's an important position because you don't want to try out a quarterback that can't do nothing when your quarterback gets hurt. So big ups to Baltimore, good organization, being prepared. They fought. Now, I do feel like they were in garbage time and they made it a competitive game, but still they had a chance to win. So that's all that matters. I don't disagree with the call. When you're banged up like they are, why would they want to play more football? Just make a better call. Call a better play. Don't cut half the field off, especially when your quarterback's a running threat. So why would you make sure that they can funnel him? But they don't have a great offensive coordinator. We all know how everybody does. Greg Roman, when their offense sputters out. I'm more surprised that Green Bay did play him that way, because if they played Lamar Jackson that way, they would have got shredded, because they got shredded by Brett Hundley anyway. So that's interesting to see if they just chose to play that way because they're back up. But because Baltimore's offense has been struggling the last couple of weeks. So hopefully when Lamar comes back, if he gets healthy, they could get that going again. But Green Bay is just another year where they ran away with the NFC North faster than the Cowboys ran away with the NFC East. They ran away with the NFC North faster than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And who didn't pick them? And who didn't pick them on this podcast?
Not me, Eric.
Not me. Not me.
I am, because I think Minnesota had a decent year this way, and they beat Green Bay. So I'm disappointed in Minnesota even more that they just let this happen in Chicago and Detroit. Like those teams have showed that if they had a little bit better luck, they would be right in it. But Green Bay's playing in a trash division, I guess. So they ran away with it. Everybody was saying it. I doubted it. I found out no, the division is garbage. It's locked. And good for them. They're going to run away with the 1 seed.
Yeah, I would just like to say that my Super Bowl matchup, both of them have byes as of now in the playoffs. So that's always nice. And I'm going to ask you a question. I feel safer with Tyler Huntley throwing the football than I do Lamar Jackson. Is that wild to say?
Stop. Yes, it is, Eric. Stop.
That's wild to say?
It's one game.
I know. I don't know what it is. But he definitely earned a bag. He earned a bag.
Career backup at worst, a Tyrod Taylor-like career. He's in it. He's in the party. A couple guys joined. Who else had a good backup week this week that we saw? Oh, Davis Mills. A couple guys that, hey, yo, I'm going to be around now for a little bit. I put some good film on. All you got to do is put one shred of good tape, and you can stick around like Mike Glennon for years and never even have to win. So good for him. That's the biggest takeaway, that, hey, they got Brett Hundley's going to have an NFL career.
Tyler Huntley, not Brett Hundley.
Hey, sorry, Tyler.
UCLA backup for Green Bay.
Yeah.
But yeah, great win for the Packers, and they're going to be the 1 seed. They're going to get a bye, run through Lambeau, Aaron Rodgers,
game,
all that shit. So let's go to the Sunday night football game where my MVP took an L, got a donut, lost 9-0 to the New Orleans Saints, 9-0.
Y'all enjoy that December football? Did y'all like it? Was it exciting?
I like it. That was different. That was just dominant.
What does New Orleans have on Tampa Bay? They got like
matchup.
secret pictures of his wife
Matchup.
just hidden back.
No.
And they like if Tom Brady scores any points on them, they will expose it forever because it's absolutely amazing. Obviously, the big thing is here, Mike Evans left the game with injury. Chris Godwin left the game with injury.
So I hope he gets the goal at quarterback. He can overcome all
Leonard Fournette left the game with injury. They didn't even have Antonio Brown. That was a neutered offense. Tom Brady, all he did was sit back there and watch Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport and David Onyemata send the dogs after him. They just whooped the Tampa Bay offensive line all day long in the running game and the passing game. And Tampa Bay has a quality offensive line. I think this is just the worst game of the season. Cam Jordan took him behind the woodshed and gave him props all night, got his career 100th sack. Congratulations to him. This is all about their defense, just the performance they put on. They couldn't complete passes on those corners. Lattimore and Roby and Gardner Johnson were out there doing a fantastic job. They strapped
Jenkins, especially on Gronk.
They strapped up Rob Gronkowski.
Who had the worst game I've ever seen Gronk play.
He couldn't create separation. He wasn't making the tough contested catches that he normally makes. They have the answers for these guys, man. Like for whatever reason, the Saints defense knows how to guard Tampa Bay better than any defense we've seen since Tom Coughlin's Giants. Like that's really what it was right there. For the Tampa Bay defense, they did their job. Taysom Hill and Alvin Kamara had a hard time getting anything going in the run game, but they could do more than the Tom Brady offense somehow. They could fall into a couple of field goals, and that was enough. They could have just did anything, and they would have gotten the job done here, especially with their defense ability to force turnovers. For the Bucks, hopefully they don't have to see the Saints in the playoffs, and hopefully they could be a little bit healthier than this. That's their best chance.
Well, we know Godwin's not coming back.
We know Godwin's not coming back, but they're going to replace him with Antonio Brown, so it's not going to be a huge net loss. But their best bet is they can be as healthy as possible going into the playoffs, and they don't see New Orleans. But we know Tampa Bay, we know Tom Brady. If they're playing wherever they're playing in the playoffs, they're going to be a problem for you.
Yeah, I think this will just be a blip. Out of a bad matchup with some injuries thrown in.
Just like it was last year.
Things just want the last year they got their ass beat that second game.
They got their ass beat this time too, and they still win it. And when it mattered, they went to New Orleans and they won by 10.
Now I will say Eric wanted to prop up his Super Bowl picks. I will say only 2 teams in the last 3 years have given Tampa Bay problems where they're just not being blocked. One of them is New Orleans, the other being LAR with Aaron Donald. So we all know how to beat Tom Brady. You're going to need to get pressure up in his face.
He's 44 years old.
That's easier said than done.
It was the same game plan at 24, Eric. Like we know the game plan on Tom Brady.
So there's no secret here. When you get the problem is you can't just get it on him sooner or later. You have to get it on him from the start. Let him get flustered. Let him get scared. Rodney Harrison always says it because he can. He saw it in the biggest moment ever. If you get to Tom Brady early and you flush him just a little, he'll stop believing in the protection. He'll start moving. And when Tom Brady starts moving, that's the best thing that could happen. If you look at a lot of those third and long sacks, you got Tom Brady trying to manipulate the pocket a little bit further away and more explosively than I think he probably has ever been able to do. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady's probably the best athlete he's ever been still at this moment.
He had that juke move last week on dude, and he thought he was a playmaker now, and now New Orleans.
So they just whooped up on him. I'm sure this game has to take Tom Brady out of the MVP conversation.
I agree.
Tough stuff. But as for New Orleans, they're not good either. Their defense is good. And it's not even their defense is always hit or miss. I saw them get shredded by Daniel Jones this year. Seen them get shredded by Sam Darnold-led Panthers. So their defense is hit or miss, but they're good. They got the plan, and they hate playing Tampa Bay, which is good enough for me to enjoy them beat up on Tom Brady twice a year. And as for the Bucks, they'll be okay. They probably could still win the 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tom Brady's MVP discussion revolves around them getting the 1 seed. But yeah, do we forget about Aaron Rodgers and how he faced the Saints in Week 1? But Week 1 doesn't matter as much as Week 15 when it comes to MVP.
The problem is it's the second time it's happened to him, Eric. Everybody can get one. This is the second time he's seen New Orleans.
Second time in second year.
This is the 5th time he's seen him, and he's gotten stomped out massively 4 different times.
And it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. That's the other thing. It doesn't matter what
the Saints do on offense. Don't matter. All they need is 3 points, and it'll be enough to beat Tampa Bay every time.
But yeah, brutal.
Brutal.
But 1 seed, and I think if they get the 1 seed, he's back in the discussion for MVP. All right, so let's move to this doubleheader. That was Monday night. We'll start with another game going to Cleveland, where the Las Vegas Raiders came to town and walked off 16-14.
Yeah, this was just about a sad franchise versus a COVID franchise. That's really what we saw here. Raiders obviously being the sad team. Their COVID issues really aren't that bad. They just got a bunch of injuries and turmoil going through that locker room. They continue to fight though. Give Derek Carr all the credit in the world. He is overcoming so much adversity, and he's just kept his head up. He's powered through. He's continued to produce as one of the better quarterbacks in the league, despite very little help around him from the offensive line, from the run game, from the receivers, really anywhere.
Offensive line's not terrible.
It's not terrible,
It's a
but
middle-
it's
it's a
very
mid-tier.
it's not good. It's not good. It's
Got
not
a
good
left
offensive
tackle,
line.
got a right tackle.
But they managed to find a way to get the job done. They really didn't perform that well offense here. They just made the plays when it mattered most. Obviously, Cleveland. This ain't the Cleveland Browns. What can you really say outside of Nick Chubb?
Nick Chubb in the offensive line
And
was out there.
most of the offensive line was healthy,
And
but
Garrett, who's a monster.
yeah, and Garrett who didn't perform well. I didn't
Yeah.
think this was one of Garrett's better games. Actually, I thought he had
Letting the DPOI slip away.
he should have been taking this one over against a vulnerable Vegas offensive line. He didn't really get any real hits on Derek Carr. Didn't make any splash game-changing plays, and that's why they didn't get out of here. They had multiple chances to close them out on defense. The Cleveland offense, as bad as anemic as it was for most of the game, and how could it not be, gave them the opportunity to win the game down the stretch. They put the points on the board to give their team the lead. They put the game in the defense's hands, and Garrett's out there, Clowney's out there, Ward's out there. A decent enough of playmakers were out there for them to get the job done, and they just couldn't close it out.
Now, I will say they did get the pick that should have ended the game.
Should have been, yeah. Somehow Derek Carr threw a pick in the last 5 minutes and got like 2-minute game.
It was like
Last
250.
three and got a game-winning drive in the same 3 minute span. That's what happens when you're going against Nick Mullins and Cleveland. You guys talk about Cleveland playing that chicken shit football and running the ball 3 straight times and punting it away.
Would you throw with Nick Mullins?
You wasn't going to win the game just punting it away. You wasn't going to win the game just punting.
After the interception, I can see how you could be like, there could have been like, oh, we haven't given up.
After the interception,
today.
you got to be like, we got to try to end the game. Because unfortunately, you can't win the game playing the football. That's not how you win football games.
You could have. They got to stop.
And they didn't, because most of the time in the 2-minute drill against a quarterback of Derek Carr's caliber, he can get 3 points. Getting 3 points is a lock as long as they got 30 seconds, basically.
Carlson is good too. So
Carlson is good as well. Cleveland, they're on their last branch right now, man. It's unfair to them, but that's the NFL season that they're going through. That's the NFL season that everyone has to deal with this year, and they got to find a way to win at least 2 of these. They probably need to win out, but at worst, they got to win 2 of these last 3 to even hope for a playoff spot. That's very slim to none at this point for the Raiders. They're basically in the same spot. Luckily, they beat Pittsburgh. So they have a tiebreaker, and they beat Baltimore. So they've got tiebreakers on some teams ahead of them if they can fall into a spot. But it doesn't look great for them either.
They'll probably be rooting for Cincinnati because they didn't beat Cincinnati.
They didn't beat Cincinnati. So Vegas could sneak their way in if they need to, but they probably should.
Yeah. It's pissed me off that they postponed the game and everybody who was Cleveland didn't get anybody back. So why did they postpone the game? In the end, they still played with who was going to be playing out there.
You enjoyed the Monday doubleheader though.
Yeah, but for no purpose. Not this game. This was a terrible game. The Raiders are Derek Carr. #free Derek Carr. Or get him Doug Peterson or Jim Caldwell to stabilize the team a little bit better. That's the only way I'd want to see him willing to stay, because I don't know where the Raiders are going. Darren Waller's been hurt and out the last few weeks, which he's the only other good player on their offense that's other than Colton Miller and Derek Carr. So that's tough. We all know all the other crazy stuff that they've gone through. And it just pissed me off because Cleveland could have won this game. I thought if they had Baker Mayfield, they'd for sure win the game. At worst, if they had Case Keenum, they'd win this game. They needed Nick Mullins, who's very limited. He's going to be a backup quarterback who comes in, and he's the last tier of backup quarterbacks you're going to go reach for, and that's why it took COVID to go get him. But, I thought he played solid enough for what I thought he'd do, but Cleveland really needed this game because they're still in the AFC North race, and I've got my money on them. So it sucks, but hopefully they can find a way. But the AFC North, all those guys have killer schedules. They include some Kansas City games, include each other. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, somehow the Raiders are just going to keep going 3-0 or like a 5-2 start and just end up lost in 8-8, or I mean, I guess it'll be 8-9 now, but just it's incredible every year how they just get to a fast start and then just the steam ends and just goes down a cliff.
The AFC Cardinals.
That's what a good quarterback can do for you.
Yeah.
But it can't carry you all the way through.
Yeah, but Nick Chubb finally showed a little bit like he was back to form today. I mean, he's had a struggle the past couple games. And yeah, I mean, they just edged it out. I mean, Derek Carr should have, I think, won this game instead of Nick Mullins. So better quarterback.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the nightcap for the Monday Night Football, where the Minnesota Vikings beat the Chicago Bears 17-9.
Only 3 more games of Matt Nagy, right? Only 3 more. No more Bears.
This is the first time he won't be going to have an attempt. He won't have a winning record.
Yeah. Yeah, and thank God for that. So there's no excuse to even keep him around. I don't know why. Please stop with historical rivalries in primetime games. NFL is not necessary. We're getting another.
No, it's literally necessary.
We're getting another one on Sunday with Cowboys, Washington football team. It's just we don't have to see the Bears playing in primetime. We know they're not. We know their offense is
the oldest team in the
we know
league.
We know they're abysmal. We know their coaching is abysmal. I actually thought Justin Fields played pretty well in this game, to be honest with you. He still had his rookie turnovers, his rookie mistakes, but he was trying his best to make plays out there, and he was getting no help. David Montgomery putting the ball on the ground, the constant drops, no pass protection. Obviously, he's not getting any help from his coaching staff. I thought Justin Fields has continued to show his talent, but the situation around him is so abysmal. And now, obviously, Allen Robinson, who's already been awful, being out on the COVID list, I think it makes it that much worse for the look. They're not a fun team to watch. Offensively, hopefully they can find a coach to help to replace Matt Nagy to come save Justin Fields. Defensively, I thought they competed really, really well. Akeem Hicks looks like he's trying to get himself one last sneaky contract. Robert Quinn as well. The Bears' old veterans all stepped up and played a really, really good football game. I thought, outside of defending Justin Jefferson, I thought they did a fantastic job of just staying in it. They pressured Kirk Cousins, and like we talked about with Brady, Kirk Cousins isn't a mobile quarterback. If you get pressure in his face, he's going to throw some inaccurate passes. He's going to throw some bad passes. And the Bears defense kept him in it for as long as they possibly could. They didn't get put away until late in the fourth quarter. I thought this was a fantastic effort by them. Just not enough talent, not enough support from the offensive side to get the job done here. For Minnesota, I'm not going to harp too much on the ugliness of the win. It's a December game at Soldier Field. It's not going to be pretty. They did what they had to do. Obviously, you prefer Kirk Cousins not to turn the ball over and keep the other team in a chance to be in the game, but they were never really going to be threatened with the way Chicago's offense was moving. Minnesota is now, I think, the 7th seed in the. I got it up right in front of me right here. Minnesota's the 7th seed in the playoffs right now. If they can find a way, maybe if they knock off Green Bay one more time, or find a way to get another win, get 2 more wins.
Definitely playing Detroit again.
Yeah, they could be in the playoffs. So good win for Minnesota. They're not a great football team, but in the NFC for the 7th seed, you don't have to be great to get it.
Yeah, of all the teams fighting it out for the 7th seed, I actually think Minnesota's the best team. So technically, I want them to be the team that gets it. But this was a game between 2 teams that are just going nowhere. #fire Matt Nagy versus #fire Mike Zimmer. Unfortunately, Chicago's really not going anywhere, but we're getting a pick off of that, so I can't be mad at it. Sucks for Justin Fields because I don't know what they're going to build with that. I don't know if they're going to keep the GM. Who knows what they're about to do with that franchise? They're at a turning point, and good luck to Justin Fields because that franchise is known for making bad decisions. So I'm sure they'll make a great decision next time with what they do and who runs their team. As for the Vikings, who cares? They're the Vikings. They got Justin Jefferson has established himself as a top 5 receiver. He's having an amazing season, even without Thielen being out. And Minnesota has good players that I like watching. Dalvin Cook was good. Their offensive line's gotten better. Kirk Cousins keeps throwing bad interceptions. I think this is 3 straight weeks with just mind-bogglingly bad interceptions for a guy who only had 5 coming up to that point. And they have nothing in their future other than an extra week. It's an extra football week because.
So, question: does Zimmer get fired even if they make the playoffs?
No.
That's the problem. It's clear that they need to move on and like change the scenery, but they're probably the favorite to backdoor the way into the playoffs.
Just good enough to be in the playoffs.
But yeah, the Giants, the Bears don't play the Lions anymore this year. They go Seahawks, then Giants, then Vikings.
I was talking about the Vikings playing the
What's
Bears.
the Vikings schedule?
I was talking about the Vikings playing Detroit. They've only played them one time, so I know they'll play them again. We don't care about the Bears playing.
No, they don't.
They're bad.
The Vikings go Rams, Packers, Bears.
They've already played the Lions twice. Oh shit! Damn.
Yeah, they did play them earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I don't know.
So they're going one. They're going 1 and 2. They're going 1 and 2 to end the year.
I think that might be. That's probably going to be enough.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, I think I agree with Mooney on Justin Fields. I think he shows flashes of being a very good quarterback, but the Bears stink at offense. So it's going to take a while to build that and get weapons around him, get him an offensive line. So good luck, Justin Fields. All right, so let's go. So let's go to Tuesday Night Football. Let's start in Philadelphia, where they won 27-17 over the Washington Football Team.
My man Garrett Gilbert went out there and put on a great effort. These are two teams that, despite the Washington being flooded with the COVID hit, they were really bad, especially in the quarterback room. You always hate to see that. But both of these teams were teams that are just they're fighting for their lives here. These are teams that could sneak into the 7th seed, the playoff spot, if things break right for them down the stretch for whoever won the game. And Philly came out on top. For Philly, Jalen Hurts is back from injury. He only had to miss one game because they had a bye week and a postponement. So he got to come back, and he looked healthy-ish. I don't know if he looked fully like himself, but I thought this was one of his better games throwing the ball. I thought Philly's offensive line, I thought was fantastic all day in both the passing and run game. Jalen Hurts was protected, and he got to sit back, and he was delivering the ball. Goddard got involved in the game. Devontae Smith, all the receiving weapons went out there, and they did a good job making plays, and they ran the ball outstanding. Miles Sanders had a really good game. Philadelphia's offense looked good against the Washington Football Team defense that was healthier. William Jackson went down, but he avoided the dreaded Achilles tear, as we think so far. But Philly put on a really good offensive performance for a team that really needed it. Defensively, I thought they were fine. Washington's points only came off of poor Jalen Hurts turnovers in the first quarter. After that, they really settled in, and they didn't really allow Washington to do much of anything. Antonio Gibson continues to put the ball on the ground, makes it hard for them to finish drives. But this is just a really solid win for Philly. I think they were the better team with all the Washington stuff, and they took care of it. For Washington, that was probably their last stand to make
they got another game against them.
But like they're 6-8 now. Do you think? I don't know. They have to win out. They basically are win out or to get the 7th spot.
They'll be playing the Eagles and the Giants 2 out of the 3 of those games.
Yeah, and the Cowboys. So they got that's gonna be. I feel like it'll be tough to win all 3 of those, especially with a flexing quarterback situation. Washington's defense was surprisingly poor in the trenches in the run game. I was really surprised that Allen and Payne couldn't get a grapple in the run game better, but they just got steamrolled, honestly. And we know Washington secondary isn't great. If Jalen Hurts got plenty of time without the pass rush of even Montez Sweat being out there, they couldn't really get after Jalen Hurts, and he was able to make some plays. Washington's had a fine season. They've performed to the level of the talent. Obviously, with a bunch of injuries, it's been hard, but this is their last stand here. And without getting the job done, they got to start thinking about the draft, I think.
Well, I'm going to say I think, I've got the bold prediction that 2 NFC East teams will make the playoffs. I just don't think that's going to happen anymore because I just think Minnesota and San Francisco picked it up in ways I didn't see them picking it up. So good on for them. They're going to prove me wrong on that one, but there was a chance. I think all 3 other NFC East teams left a lot of meat on the bone this season. I thought those were all talented teams. I thought they've all proven that they have talent, like dominant talent at different levels of their teams, but it sucks that I think their coaching was a little poor for all of them, with Joe Judge being a second-year coach, Nick Sirianni being a rookie, and Ron Rivera, we think he's a hair overrated, and I think they have the worst quarterback situation. Mm-hmm. But basically for this game, Philadelphia dominating the trenches against a team that had COVID problems that ravaged through their quarterback room. Garrett Gilbert put on a decent attempt. He'll stick around. Get enough film to get him to the next season. And Washington had some bad injuries this year. Sucks for them. We saw the crazy tipped kicked interception. I mean, we saw some flashy, crazy plays, which means you got NFC's football here.
Yeah.
This is classic NFC's football. Not much to say. Terrible game. Philadelphia dominated, but because they're an NFC's team, they really didn't just run away with it.
Be happy if you weren't on the Atlantic coast and you didn't have to watch this. Like,
Yeah, as for the NFL, come on, flex the game, make the games possible to watch it both.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts has shown to give him another year. Like you can go into next year comfortably with him as your quarterback. I think.
yes,
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I would do it. I'm just saying that's probably what they're going to do.
Just enough. Just enough.
Just enough to make them keep them up there another year. That's what I want to see.
We'll see how they feel about these quarterbacks coming out.
But yeah, Miles Sanders, great game. Even Jordan Howard had 70 yards. I mean, they dominated the running game. And if you do that, you can control the game. So good for them. I think Washington season would have gone differently if they had a healthy Ryan Fitzpatrick. But I guess we'll never know. All right, so let's
or
go.
even just a healthy Chase Young.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the nightcap of the Tuesday night, where the Rams beat the Seahawks 20-10.
Yeah, I don't think Russell Wilson like being in Seattle no more. He was terrible today. DK Metcalf was whooping up on Jalen Ramsey all day, in my opinion. I thought he was open constantly, and Russell Wilson just couldn't hit him. Now, in fairness, Aaron Donald was in that.
They were rushing the passer effectively. We know Aaron Donald loves.
I'm gonna hit you with my qualifier as in fairness to Russell Wilson. Aaron Donald and them boys in the backfield all day long, making life a living hell. Von Miller got his first sack. They made it hard. They made it very, very hard on Russell Wilson to go out there and make plays. But I've seen Russell Wilson overcome those type of things before, especially when he has his weapons out there. He wasn't doing it here. He looked inaccurate. He had finally started to look like he was getting back to himself, especially with the little tune-up game against Houston. But that came crashing back down to earth here. He had a hard time, and the things he said is the reason why the offensive line was the reason. For LAR, I don't even think LAR particularly played that well.
It was 3.5.
It's like this was a low-scoring, ugly affair early on. Then Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford connected for their 2-3 explosive plays a game, and they created separation. This is a game. I think LAR looked like the more desperate team. They like the team that we expect to be in the playoffs, so we're out here fighting for seeding. While Seattle, the confidence has slipped. They look like they're about to back their way out of here. Pete Carroll's also on the list of guys who could be on their way out in the next couple of weeks, because obviously now you can fire guys and start trying to get guys in 3 weeks earlier. So you're going to get more early firings. Just LAR, better football team, handled the matchup. They're now, I don't know if they're in the driver's seat because they still don't have tiebreaker over Arizona to win the division, but they're right there.
I mean, I thought Seattle. I think the reason the game was even competitive for as much as it was because I thought this was their last chance. Mm-hmm. Their defense was playing good. They were getting some pass rush, and they're not a really good pass rusher team. Good coverage, good run stuff to start. I mean, they were fighting because if they had won this game, it would have kept them technically in the picture. But it's over. I don't know. Like Chicago, I don't know where they go from here. They don't have picks, so. It's where in the year that you have to trade at Russell Wilson, is anybody jumping up to trade a lot of assets for Russell Wilson?
I actually think so, because I think how bad the quarterback class is. I think if you want to get your franchise turning around quarterback, you're going to have to trade for him. And there's 3 guys that's already out there that could be on the list with maybe a couple more.
Moody might agree. I would waver. Russell Wilson was terrible, and he was hurt this year, so I would not give up anything more than a second for him.
You might not be getting max value, but if you're unwilling to give up a second, the team that's going to be willing to give up the first is going to be the team that's going to make a turnaround.
We'll see. I don't know. I just wouldn't. Russell Wilson at an age where he doesn't look as athletic anymore. And I know there's not much to talk about other than to speculate Seattle's future. LAR dominated the game. They picked it up 188-2. They were
not made the game. The referees decided to. I ain't even bring it up because I don't like to be a person that's the Cowboys fan who bitches about the referees.
LAR was always going to win the game, cold. And the referees made sure of it. LAR was always going to win.
Sean Hockley, get him out. Stop it. We don't need to see any more Sean Hockley.
But I just don't know where Seattle goes from here. Yeah. As for the Rams, they're going to go to the playoffs from here because they've owned the Seahawks the last couple of years, especially. They beat them in the playoffs last year. Dominating this year, even though they weren't dominant games, they just handled them like that, which is even worse than being dominant. Just being handled like we're not worried, we'll beat you when we need to. or at worst the rest will. But I don't know where Seattle goes from here. I mean, they got Jamal Adams, so
Yes, he is.
take it away, Eric.
Yeah, I mean the Seattle's probably going to go 2-1 to end the season. They go Chicago, Detroit, Arizona. So I'm guessing they're going to win the next two.
They could lose all those games. They could easily lose all those games.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but like the Jets are sick though. They see that ending and they're like they could possibly go 2-1. But yeah, I mean I think the Rams are just getting right. Cooper Kupp's having an elite season. Breakfast buddies for life. Him and Matthew Stafford. But yeah, I mean OBJ. I mean I don't know how he's getting targets with how he can be mad about not getting targets with Cooper Kupp being the way he is. So
you know how receivers are. You don't know how a receiver can be mad about not getting targets.
We'll see.
This is the NFL. That's all receivers ever get mad about.
yeah, Coach. I want you to feed me more when there's a guy going 9 catches, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
That's casual day for Cooper Kupp.
But Odell was, what he be thinking?
I can have 10 for 150 and 3 touchdowns.
But we don't need to sow any dissension there. He's staying quiet for now. As long as they're winning, they'll keep him quiet.
Yeah. All right, that's all the games.
MVP rankings and
all right,
wrap this up.
Yeah, we're getting right down to it now. It's really, I think the races really start to form here. I'll have a mix up this week. Number 3, I'll keep it the same. Matthew Stafford. He's having a terrific season. Obviously, him and the Cooper Kupp connection has been ridiculous, and you just can't really do anything about that. We'll see how it performs in the playoffs, but for the regular season, it's been the most dynamic passing duo in the NFL, and it's carried the Rams who defense is showing a little regression, run game is showing a little regression, outside weapons are showing a little regression, but those two have been the force. Number 2, I'm going to put Colts running back Jonathan Taylor, going for 170 in a tub on Bill Belichick's defense. That gives you a plus. That gives you a jump up in the rankings. The Colts are the 6th seed in the AFC right now, despite a 1-for-5 start. He's been the driving force of that. Carson Wentz has put them in bad positions pretty much every week, and he's gotten them out of it. Carson Wentz had a bad turnover in the New England game, and Jonathan Taylor hit the big run to put the game away. So I'm going to give him a ton of credit. Obviously, you can't give MVPs to the offensive line, so you'll give him from the guy benefiting the most, and I think that's Jonathan Taylor. And number 1, I think he's pretty much running away with the award at this point, Aaron Rodgers.
I think I've got the same 3, except with the exception of I've got Matthew Stafford at 2 and Jonathan Taylor at 3, because you said this is not Jonathan Taylor's not. He's not dominating in Derrick Henry where like I'm elevating my offensive line. It's clear that the Colts have the best offensive line in the league. And I'm sure if you swap them out with a couple other running backs, they'd probably be just as efficient. But he's having an amazing season. His per games and his efficiency is elite. But he's a running back. We'll see. He'll have to get 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns to get that award. Matthew Stafford, I think he's top 3 across the board in all of the passing categories. And Aaron Rodgers is having a ridiculous season, and this is all just going to set up for him to lose in the NFC Championship game. That's all that matters for that one. But yeah, I think he's going to run. I think Aaron Rodgers put a little bit of distance between him and the rest of the field.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to start with 1. I think Aaron's the front runner right now, absolutely, being the 1 seed in the NFC. I mean, it's hard to argue against him, and watching him every week is just, how can you not? Number 2, I also have Jonathan Taylor. I'm glad he's kind of picked up what Derrick Henry started, because at the beginning of the year we had Derrick Henry, who we were trying to get a non-QB into this MVP race. And I think Jonathan Taylor's definitely risen to the challenge. So I have him at 2. I'm going to keep Tom Brady in there for now. I mean, he still has the most touchdowns in the league right now. I mean, his stats are still there. I think he's still number 1 in yards. Let me check real quick.
I mean, they only needed a touchdown last week, and they might have won.
He's still leading in yards. I mean, he's still up there. His stats are still there. 1 bad game shouldn't throw someone from 2 to off.
He's a type 4 for me, but like there's one bad game and there's getting goose egg by a team you already played this year.
No, by a team that's not even doing any scoring. That's like, hey, if you ever score,
cross midfield, please.
They didn't get in field goal range. But yeah,
it looks like the this pretty much that's the three that's riding in the form here. We'll see if anybody can catch Aaron.
Oh, I still think Patrick Mahomes has a chance. We'll see how he finishes out the season.
The Chiefs aren't even winning games because of his greatness, though. Like
he's still top 3.
So it's hard for me to give the guy MVP when I see Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill just making. We'll see this week. No Tyreek Hill, no Travis Kelce. We about to see this week about Patty. We're gonna find out.
All right, then. But we'll catch y'all. Weird football schedule. It's been hard to finesse around it, but all right. Enjoy the football. We'll catch y'all next time.